Hello and welcome to the latest installment of Adventurous Pets. We had a big hit last week with Keith's cats. They love life.
They were fantastic, especially Tessa, sexy little beast.
Made a good entrance. We really enjoy that. No, we're back here again for another episode of Sport Like It Is. Ed Sellier and Ben Karpinski, and we're here to talk about what went on this weekend. There was a fair amount, wasn't there?
Sure, it was a great weekend of sport. It was sad, but it was very, very good.
We enjoyed it. We also did absolutely horrendously in the betting stakes. I lost money on Run For It at the Durban July. Did you put money down on July?
I did. A horse I couldn't pronounce the name of, and needs to say he didn't come in as the winner. No.
Well, there you go. I was tipped Run For It, but got nowhere. Sharamoaner, she lost.
Yeah. I really dislike her for so many reasons. I think she's quite average looking. She makes a huge din in the court. I finally put money on her thinking she's a sure thing. No.
Sharamoaner because she makes an obscene amount of noise. Anyway, moving along swiftly. Much like she was bullied, much like David Hay was bullied, much like Rafa Nadal was bullied, the Stormers, they got bullied.
Wow, men versus boys. Yeah, the old cliche, but it was actually so true. And this time the men weren't giving the boys a chance either. I mean, tied 5 onwards, they had no chance there. Absolutely none.
Andy Capistania writing in the Mail and Guardian on Friday saying, if the Stormers aren't on the plane to Brisbane come Sunday, something will have gone horrendously wrong, and it did.
It did for 80 minutes as well. Once again, betting aside, I don't mind losing money in life, but when you have to watch 80 minutes of your team getting pounded, pounded like something on E, like back in the day after 12, it's just not that much fun. It really isn't.
Talking from experience, I assume.
Yeah, I used to watch a lot of late night TV.
You got a kick out of that, jeez, like. Anyway, Osteran saying last week that the Crusaders scrum is often early on the engagement, which I thought was quite interesting because the Stormers were ironically early on the engagement, yet they got mowed, as Bob Skinstad said it, off the ball.
Yeah. Well, if you look at their tight 5, more importantly their front 3, I mean, those guys are complete athletes. Like, you look at them, like with ball in hand, you think they're actually going to do something. You get them into the actual scrum, Wyatt Crockett's like... Crockett? Sorry, I said Cockett. Wyatt Crockett's about 1 meter 93. He's absolutely huge. So Corey Flynn's pretty good. And the other bearded guy, it was Owen Franks that started.
Yes. That
is a front 3 which demolished the Sharks in Twickenham, demolished the Sharks last week wherever they played in Frodo Land, and this week the Stormers' front 3 had nothing.
Interestingly, I was chatting to Johnny King, who does a lot of writing for Rugby Journey. Yeah. He was saying, stats this weekend... Yeah, Johnny, eh? Hello, Johnny. Stats this weekend, we had Tian Liebenberg at hooker for the Stormers. We had Brock Harris and Vickers Blau. Blau made 2 tackles. Harris made 5. Tian Liebenberg made 4 tackles.
Jeez, I'm happy I didn't have those guys on my fantasy team.
Oh, there you go. So what is that? 11 tackles for a front row. Compare that with the Crusaders. The Crusaders, Crockett made 14. That's good for a loose forward. Flynn made 7. And Franks made 10. That's nearly treble the number of tackles. That is mind-boggling. And the interesting thing is that the impact that the scrum is currently having in Super Rugby is actually outstanding. I mean, it's incredible the way go-forward ball, that's what Richie McCaw said it. They didn't allow the Stormers any go-forward ball, so every time they got hammered in the scrum, Grant was stationary, therefore your backline is going nowhere.
Yeah. It was really, you can see how shell-shocked the guys were. I mean, Costa's intercept aside, the missed opportunity, I think, in about the 5th minute, which led to the Stormers' penalty. Take that aside, they were so bullied in that set phase. Every time it was their ball, I mean, if they even got it, I think it was 3 tight heads or something. By the time that young Schroeder got the ball, I mean, the movement was laboured. Grant got it, and he literally went backwards again. So straight away, they're behind the game line. They're getting smashed in the scrums, and they got smashed in the backs. And they just didn't have an answer.
But a good thing for Super Rugby, nonetheless, to see that the props, or in fact the front row, is having more and more of an impact. Really enjoyed that. Crusaders, I've been harping on about this on Twitter. Everybody's getting irritated. Galvanized togetherness. Sports power to heal is just incredible. They see themselves as the Samaritans going out and appeasing the pain of Christchurch. But it's incredible to see. Week in and week out it happens.
Yeah, they're really on a bit of a goodwill crusade, if you will. I mean, they haven't played a game at home. Obviously, they love playing in Cape Town, but I mean, they could have played in Maitland or in Woodstock or in a Para car park.
They would have liked Maitland, wouldn't they? I like Maitland. Do you like? Yeah.
They could have played in Parlin Island in an old factory. Those guys will play anyway. They're such a great unit. And you see all their players combining, and they were fantastic. The Stormers, unfortunately, were 15 guys in jerseys, and the scoreline suggested.
Very interestingly, leadership in the Stormers' backline. Jean de Villiers, seen as a pivotal figure. Interestingly enough, Do you recall him making a single run towards Sonny Bill Williams that entire game? They were opposite each other.
I think it was on half time. Sonny Bill was going for the tunnel, and Jean was following. But
trying to ankle tap him before half time.
I suppose that was an directional thing. Yeah, he didn't, not whatsoever, not the slightest.
Intimidation?
I think it's lack of ideas. I think, you focus so much on a player. Obviously, Sonny Bill's a big thing for them. They focus so much on that in that channel. And by the time that we got the ball, like we said, they were already on the back foot. Everything was about on him. At which stage the loose forward was tackling him. He was trying to hoof it wide, whatever it was. He never had the opportunity.
Interestingly enough, I mean, Nick Costa, who I watched quite a lot of at school, he was a couple of years below me. He expressed himself on the field the way I've never seen a player play before.
Oh God, Nick Costa's younger than you.
Yeah, could you tell that? Nick Costa used to run rings around everybody at school. Look at him on Saturday. When he got the ball, he looked like he didn't know what he wanted to do with it, right?
Very hesitant, yeah.
Very, very hesitant. When he made that intercept pass, there was no recovering from that. It's almost as if he's lost his ability to express himself on the field. And in that respect, I was thinking about the way coaching works. Can you coach the player's expression out of his game because he's too bound by the role he's got to play for the team?
Well, I think if you had put Nick Costa in a game, say a looser one, I mean, he would have thrived, or he probably did when he came on for Vermeulen's injury. I think when you get to a situation like that, you're so overawed by what's actually going on. You forget about coaching, you forget about natural ability. You're getting blitzed properly. He was running against guys that were tackling him all day. So, I mean, put all the flair aside, the guy was never going to go anywhere.
It almost seems as if he's scared to play his natural game, I find, at the moment. Stormers had 60% of the ball on Saturday at half-time, which means, if my maths are right, the Crusaders had 33% of the ball. Yet every time they got it, they made something happen. What are you laughing at now?
Your maths, I think you said 60-33.
67-33. Did I get that right? That is right. Sorry. The Crusaders were playing great playoff football. Every time they got it, they made use of it, which was really interesting. They had 3 or 4 opportunities. They made them count. And then when the Stormers had the ball, they enforced the errors, and Carter kicked them into submission.
Yeah, I think taking that point, so make it very interesting now against the Reds. The Reds had a particularly good game against the Blues. They took their chances, which is what good sides do. Even on a bad day, when you get first phase ball like they had, I mean, they scored a fantastic, I think, 2 or 3 tries from set phases. And then you got Cooper's brilliance. So now we're going to get the Crusaders, who did so well, just showing what a great team against the Stormers they were. And now coming up against the Reds team. I mean, this Saturday is going to be an absolute cracker.
Interestingly, Quade Cooper and Will Guinea once again sparking an absolutely incredible display. Incredible stuff from them. Great year so far for the Reds, but it will count for nothing if they lose this weekend.
Yeah, people are already starting to throw the predictions around. Crusaders, Reds, Crusaders, Reds. I think the Reds definitely going to do it, purely because home ground, they play with so much flair and so much momentum. Crusaders are fantastic. They really are. You can't fault the guys in any sort of aspect. For me, there's going to be an X-Factor final sort of thing. To play a cliche, I think that's going to be the reason the Reds will do it this weekend.
Very interestingly enough, Quade Cooper on defence, and we made this comment before we came on.
He goes missing from time to time.
He does, doesn't he? But what they've done is they've put him at fullback, so when the ball gets kicked forward, he receives the ball, makes the run forward, and he's obviously at his most dangerous when he's making an incisive run. We saw him hand off Lucky Munro, put him into the ground. In fact, the groundsman had something to say because he almost dug out a hole in the ground. It was ridiculous. And then made 2 shimmy slide steps and was through, and I think it was Ben Tapuai.
Yeah.
What is it? Who scored the try. The side, like the Crusaders, will be far better on defence, far more physical, and therefore the Reds are going to have to be innovative to try and get through them. The Blues were very predictable, tried to run around them.
Yeah, and obviously getting back to the Blues can't kick. I mean, every time they try to kick, it was the most embarrassing display of rugby ever.
You said they couldn't kick a bucket if it... What was the... I didn't even remember... Yeah.
Look at Jared Payne. I think he had some absolute howlers in the kick. But once again, they had no other options other than that. Go wide, push in the touch, done. Against the Crusaders, the Reds will do much better.
We've got a couple of questions on Twitter, and we're running out of time now. On Wednesday, we're going to look at a full in-depth analysis of the game that is coming up on Saturday, which is, of course, the Super Rugby Final, the Crusaders against the Reds. We've got some questions that we got on Twitter, which we will go to in greater detail. But we're going to wrap up now by quickly paying tribute to Vladimir Klitschko, because the man was
The robot
incredible.
did not malfunction. No.
Dr. Steelhammer. I mean, the name says it all. David Hay, whinging about his toe at the end of it. He said, if it makes dollars, it makes sense in boxing. Do we want a rematch?
No, I actually don't. It'll be embarrassing for him because next time I think Klitschko will come back stronger, and his brother will have something to say as well. I want to see his brother tag team boxing. It's the way forward. Those two going in, Klitschko against Hay and whoever else.
What'd you say? Mother gets kidnapped, hold for ransom.
Oh, yeah.
Klitschko brothers have to fight each other. That's probably the only way we're going to get them to fight. Anyway, that's the end of this one. SportlikeItis.co.za is the site that will launch shortly. At Ed Sellier for myself on Twitter, at Follow the Bounce for Ben, sportlikeItis@gmail.com for questions, and also on Twitter, hashtag SLII. With your question, we will get through as many as we can. Let us know your thoughts, and we will see you all on Wednesday. Thanks a lot.
Ciao.